Hi everybody, and welcome back to the final part of the Increasing Success Grant Writing Workshops online tutorial. What we run through now is that we'll go through different types of applications that you may come across. There's different definitions on what our funders are actually seeking from us now, and we might start here for this part. So same but different. Let's look at an EOI versus a standard application versus unsolicited or invited application. So an EOI is an expression of interest. So some grant makers have a two-stage process when it comes to applications. So basically stage one is what they call an expression of interest round. So this round is designed to provide an outline of the funding request without being onerous to complete. In most cases, it provides sufficient information to determine whether the request is one that can be progressed to a submission for the director's consideration. So this may be used if, they're time poor in terms of the directors, but they also want to be more strategic and clever about the way that they administer their grants. So they may actually just say, we're going to run an EOI and see what we get out of it, and see whether or not we can actually eliminate down to some really key prospective people that we then can move them on to stage two. So stage two is then the full application. So following that expression of interest round, some organisations will be requested to complete a more detailed application. So that is by invitation only. So you'll get notification to say, thanks, but no thanks, your EOI wasn't accepted. Or you might say, yes, you've moved on and progressed to round two. We would like you to now go on and complete the full application. So then means that's a lengthy process in itself too, but it does give you a bit of an idea on whether or not you meet the criteria of their guidelines and their grant. So the Youth+Foundation Foundation is an example of how they administer their grant program. They do an expression of interest round. So as you can see, this is just a one-pager that exists. So they just want your organisational details, but they've got 4 questions there. So not a lot, but they ask enough to then give them the correct information to say, yep, this is a promising kind of project. This is going to align with what we want it to align with. Remember how I talked about strategic goals and principles? Like, they're really clear here that they want something that's going to align with that. So you need to be really clear in this EOI within the word count too, or the sentence limit or whatever they do. And I know that can be difficult because sometimes now we work in characters instead of words, but we work within what we can, and we be really clear that we answer those questions. So this is just an example of what an EOI looks like. A standard application. So some grant makers make this process more straightforward, and you can apply directly for grants via their application processes. So this process of grant making either has an opening or closing date on it, or it may be open all year round. So, places like the Mantra Foundation for Young People, they actually open their grant rounds all year round. So you can apply at any time during the year, and they'll consider you for funding at any time, whereas like places like the Community Gambling Benefit Fund, they have 4 set rounds per year with opening and closing dates, and they are straightforward applications. So no EOI, just the application. So what you see is what you get in terms of what you're submitting. So that's just an example of what that may look like. Unsolicited applications. So some grant makers may choose to not accept any unsolicited grant applications, which means that if you're not invited to apply, then you can't apply for it. So the reason for these decisions are numerous, but they may include the desire to fund organisations only in a specific community. They are wanting to fund very specific causes or needing to cut down on paperwork. But does it mean that these types of funding organisations are out of your reach? Well, they're not necessarily. So, do your homework and see what you have in common and reach out to them. Often an email to say, I understand that you're not accepting unsolicited invitations or unsolicited applications to this grant round, but, are you thinking about opening up this grant to other potential partners into the future? You can also go on their website and have a look who their partners currently are or their previous partners were. Contact them, see how they got their foot in the door, ask the questions, approach them directly, have the conversation saying, we're really keen, we're really open, maybe next time you can consider us, but do your homework first. So don't contact the aged care provider and say we work with young people. be clear and strategic around that. So you will see when you see the grant saying we don't take unsolicited applications, consider whether or not it's worth your time and effort to go through that process. So you've been successful, right? So you've written a beautiful application, we've followed through the processes, we've been clear, we've planned, and we've written, we've proofed, we've submitted, and we're successful. Now, we've presented our project, we've done it all, we need to acquit it. How do I report on funding and how do I get it right? So you need to read the application well regarding acquittal, and you need to ensure that you've got your acquittal notes noted, So it's really important that you make sure that those calendar entries are in your diaries so that you know when to acquit. The last thing you want to do is miss an acquittal date and then have the organisation speak badly about you or have to chase you up. They've given the donation to you or the funding to you in good faith that you will then see your part of that out. So make sure that you're really clear about that. What you want to do is report on outcomes according to the terms of the funding agreement. So they will send you a document, potentially a template of what they want. Some are onerous, some aren't, some are very, very minor in terms of what they're asking for. You want to describe the impact of the project and discuss any issues and challenges. Be honest. Talk about it. Say, we expected to have 20 young people in each workshop over the course of the 10 weeks, but, due to the nature and the context of our young people who engage at flexible learning centres, we only averaged about 9 or 10 per week. Be clear about that. Describe what you've learnt from that and share your acquittal documents with the Youth+ Foundation so that I've got those on file so that my accountability measures are really clear. But what it really is an acquittal is really getting your application and then transferring it onto an acquittal document. So here are your outcomes and here are what we intended to do. Hey, and this is what we did. So a lot of it can be a bit of a copy and paste kind of exercise. So, be strategic about that. Bit of an example. So list the activities that your organisation implemented in accordance with the project proposal, what outcomes were achieved, what your activities did you deliver, pretty straightforward sort of stuff. Now I'm nearly finished. So, in terms of making our way through the Increasing Success Grant Writing Workshop, there are a few things that I'd like to leave you with in terms of, some final thoughts. Don't overlook the basics, again, cracked record, but I'll say it again. Know the processes and documents that must be in place before you seek the funding. The first sentence of every grant proposal should contain information about what you're going to do with the money. How are you going to spend my money? Tell me. Be strategic and develop strong relationships with the funder. Be robust and put forward impressive projects. Answer the question. Communication. For me, it's really important in the Youth+ Foundation that we communicate. There are 19 flexible learning centres across Australia with many similarities that can also mean many competing interests. We don't want clashes of grants. We need to be mindful that other sites may be applying for things. So make sure that you share what you're doing. So put it on the L drive and the grant log tracker so that we can see it, but also flick an email, make a call to the Youth+ Foundation, tell us what you're doing, just so then we can say, actually, there's a lot of schools in Queensland, a lot of opportunity, but the NIB Foundation only accepts one application from Queensland. So then we need to actually talk amongst yourselves about who's going to submit the application at any particular point in time. If you all get put in there, then you'll all be made ineligible. And that's a really sad way to see a lot of hard work and energy gone into applications. So make sure you communicate with us. Let me help you. Let the foundation grant match for you. Let us proof your work. Let us support you to do this stuff. But also, go onto the document library and check out what we have to offer to support you and build your capacity to do some of this work yourself, because you guys have got the stories, you've got the connection, you know what projects are going to work and how to roll them out. So, trust yourself and seek support where you need. If anything's arisen from these workshops, please forward all questions to the Foundation at youthplus.edu.au, and make sure that you connect with us. We love to hear all about the work of Flexies. So now it's all about you. Go forth and be awesome. I thank you for taking the time to listen to our online tutorial and hope that you've got something out of it.